How do you know Jim Trick?
What? Really?
That's how we're starting right there. How do you know Jim Trick? On your socials, there's a picture of you at a class with a group of people, and at the it would be your far right, far left of the image, is Jim Trick.
Yes, he's like one of my best friends.
Who I have known Jim Trick for, good Lord, 20 years?
Is it because of the cross on your wall?
Is it because, well...
Because of Jesus?
It is a Jesus-oriented thing. There are multiple crosses. They both have...
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, so he plays music, and he used to do sets at this music festival outside of Boston.
What's it called?
It's called Inside Out Soul Fest. Now it's just called the Soul Fest.
Yes. I've heard him talk about that for many years.
Yes, he's a great person. He actually...
Oh, that's so funny.
I'm gonna let you answer the question after I say this. Excuse me. He took my son. I have a 15-year-old. He was, I think, 11 or 12 at the time. I had my son out there, and he took my son fly fishing for like half a day, and my son just came back using words like Uncle Jim. He is just an absolute... He's an angel. He's a dear heart. He's a soul.
He really is. Yes. I'm telling him right now that I'm on a podcast with you.
That's fantastic. Do you know him via Taekwondo?
You mean jujitsu?
Jujitsu? Sorry.
No, it's not offensive to me. It would be offensive to
Yeah,
him.
but you don't want to offend people whose whole thing is the ability to take you down.
Yeah. No, I know him. So we live in the same town, and he knew my ex-husband first.
Got it.
And most of my friends, because he has lived here forever in this town.
Yes, ma'am.
And he also knew my daughter because of my ex. He just said what with 18 question marks. Here, I'll take a picture. Wave. That's so funny.
Great. That's fantastic. That's cool.
He said he's the best. Yeah. So he walked up to me one day in Jim Trick fashion. I was at a coffee shop, and he was like, "Are you Alma's mom?" And I was like, "Yes." And then we just have become like dear, dear friends.
That's really
so
cool.
I see him all the time. He owns an optician store here in Marblehead, and
That's
just saw him a couple nights ago.
Cool. So
where do you live?
I'm in Martinez, California.
Okay.
Which is, do you know the Bay Area at all?
What area is that?
The Bay Area?
Oh, the Bay Area.
The Bay Area?
Yeah.
Sorry,
I know it a little bit.
That's how arrogant we are in California. We call it the Bay as if there aren't other ones.
Well, I just thought you said the area.
Oh, well, we could do that if we want. In Oakland, we call it the town.
The town.
I
don't know the Bay. I mean, I know the most basic things.
So in short, Martinez is this like thrice broken industrial town about 20 minutes east and slightly north of Oakland, which is east of San Francisco.
Okay.
So I'm there, but I'm in Boston off and on quite a bit, which is how I know Jim. Are you from Boston?
I'm from Colorado originally, but I have been out here since '99, so it's been a very long time.
What got you to Boston?
I moved with one of my friends from college just right after undergrad. It was just like, let's move somewhere. Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yep. And I moved lived in Boston. I don't know.
Really?
I mean, I think now I was like just drawn to it because it's totally my home. Like I fell in love with it as soon as I moved here. It's very much my speed, East Coast, and
yes.
It was just an adventure.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love the Northeast for that reason. You said very much my speed, and then you said East Coast. When I started traveling a lot in '98, like getting familiar with like, I almost want to use the word personality here, but getting familiar with like the postures and personalities of different pockets of persons. So it's not really culturally specific because they're like multiple cultures
Yeah.
around the Boston area, but there's still the same, regardless, there's kind of the same energy. And even if you go from like Philly,
100%.
you go from Philly to Jersey to Manhattan, even Brooklyn might be different. But like there's still the same kind of energy for
Everyone's in the same gear, I think.
yes. And
But then,
I
yeah. So, but you're in California.
well, yes, all kinds of reasons for about. Do you still consider Colorado home in some way?
No.
People. Oh, really?
I mean, I have, I have my family there. I have my brother and my dad, and my mom's not there anymore. She's in Maui, but I don't feel like it's home. I love it. It's fine, but
When you go back, you don't have an emotional gravity there.
mm-mm.
Do you have emotional gravity in Boston?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that was
Oh my
like a big
gosh. Yes, it's like I fell in love with it. It was like
immediately.
I joke that it's like my longest relationship. It's just been so. And then I moved to Marblehead, which is where I live now, north, and it's like I don't know if you've ever been here. Jim and I talk about it all the time. It's like a fairy tale. It's like the most wonderful little village.
And it's remarkably untouched by outsiders.
Because it's
Which is a bit
kind of a pain to get to. Yeah,
yes. Well, sort of.
it is. I mean,
Yeah,
it's way up here.
I'm sorry, you're right. You're right. Let's make sure we tell the general public. It's a pain to get.
Don't do it.
It takes forever. There's that road with the gators and the spikes. You don't want to. You really don't want to go there.
You really don't want to do that. No.
How important is it for you emotionally, otherwise, to actually have like a home? Like, is having a locale vital for you? I'm picking up notes of that in some of what you do.
Yeah.
But geographically, having a place like on a map that you can plug in, like where, it's like, whether you do it on your phone or whatever, you open up your map and you hit home. How important is it for you to have a geographical place that is yours? This is where I belong. How vital is it?
That's such a good question. I've never been asked that before. I guess it's big. I am very attached to being here.
Yeah.
Like, and specifically where I am. Like in Marblehead, like I moved for 4 years between 2020 and last year, early 2024. I met someone in 2020 and we moved in together at the end of the year, and he was only 2 towns away, not far. And I was like, the first year or whatever was great because it was a pandemic and nothing was real, real life anyway. But it wasn't the relationship. I was devastated to not be here.
Yeah.
Like I missed it so deeply. And yeah, and I just bought a home like a month and a half ago for the first time. So, and that is just like something I wanted so bad for a long time. Thank you.
That's big shit.
It is. It's a big deal.
Yes, it is.
And I did it myself, which was great. And yeah. So I guess the answer is it's a very big deal to me. And I swore when I moved back here, we broke up and early last year, and I swore I would never leave. Jim's like, you cannot leave again. Like, I'm like, no, I really won't. Like, I'm dying here. I'm happy to have other homes, other places. I love traveling, but I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. That's part of why I'm still where I am, is one of the things that travel can do for someone. And we're going to come back to this because I'm going to ask you some questions about paying attention. But one of the things travel can do for someone is it can really highlight that part of, I'll use this phrase. It can highlight that part of a person's soul. Like there are things and persons and sometimes locations that we actually are attached to, or we aren't attached to. And travel can really expose that. It's like that stuff you drink before surgery that highlights all the shit going wrong in your body.
Yes, it's so true.
Travel can do that for us internally and psychologically. We realize like, oh, I really wish I was where I'm from, or I really don't need to be there anymore. It was one of the issues with issues. It was one of the things that came about during what they called, you mentioned the pandemic time 40 years ago or whenever that was. And the phrase they used was shelter in place. Like that.
Yeah.
That was.
Yeah.
And like the mind job for a lot of people is that the place part of that is like folks didn't have one. Like for a lot of people, they didn't
Exactly. And they
have a sense
realized
of,
that.
didn't have a sense of place, and now you had to just be in there
Mhm.
for a long time. And
Yeah.
a lot of folks, they recognize like, I don't like what I have.
Yeah.
And
It's so true. I have never heard it described exactly like that, but it's so true. Or they were like, oh, my insides are not home.
yeah,
This is not an okay place for me to hang out.
yeah,
I'm yeah, this is too loud and too scratchy and too whatever
yeah.
to cope
You,
with.
you you've got these two books you've published. Well, that you've published with other people.
Hmm.
Have you always written? Are you a writer? So we're gonna talk about like the nature of your relationship with publishing for a second, and
Okay.
so it'll be a little bit here for a minute. You've got these two books in this that are in the same direction, talking about sobriety specifically, kind of healthful, but more broadly.
Hmm.
Like, why are you publishing books? Have you always been a writer? Do you write things down? Can you talk about your relationship with the
Sure.
writing?
Yeah. Yeah. I have not always, well, I would say I've always been a writer because I've always um, written in some form. I have in that closet right there journals from the time I was 9 years old, and I've always kept one. I'm not equating journaling necessarily with writing, but the instinct was still the same. I had this desire to document and figure out what was going on with me through writing it down. And I've always been in love with words. I've always been a huge reader, and I always wanted to write. I didn't think that being a writer was something that was possible for me.
Why?
I don't know. I didn't grow up with anyone who was in like the arts. That didn't seem like a career. Like it was just foreign. It was like being in the circus or something. Like that's something other people do. I
Got it.
wish I could do it, but I don't understand how that even happens.
Yeah.
I was and I didn't really have the like it's not even that I didn't have the encouragement. I mean, I didn't have that, but I didn't have the I was very um and am still, although less, very like shiny object, like, oh, what's the most fun and what's going to be the coolest thing that I could do today, right now. And
Impulsive.
impulsive. And when I went to college, I was first a pre-med major because I loved science. Then I was like, whoa, this is hard. So I just did business. And I graduated and I got a job in marketing. And then I just kept doing the next thing. And that was fine. And that's all related to my drinking too, for sure. Um, that impulsivity and not sort of really slowing down and paying attention and taking time. But along through all that, I did write. I started many blogs. I always had some kind of writing project going, right? But where I would struggle was I realized like in my later years, what maybe when I was married, so this is late 20s, early 30s, I would start a blog or I would have this impulse to write and like publish things, but I had so many secrets and I was so
Yeah.
I didn't I don't know if I can write fiction. I've never tried, but I had so many secrets and so I couldn't really write about anything. I had to
Yeah.
be very evasive and that just doesn't work. So when I was getting sober, um I had incentive to
Yeah.
not have secrets, and then also it didn't matter so much. Like that was part.
Great. That's a fantastic line. I had incentive to not have secrets.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Hmm.
because you kind of have to. You kind of have to need a reason.
Yeah, you do. You have to be in enough pain, or there has to be some. I mean, I remember reading this woman's blog at the time. It's Glennon Doyle, who you may know. She wrote under. She's a famous author, but she wrote this blog for years called Momastery. And I remember someone sent it to me, and I looked at her about page, and she just said, like, on her about page, had a picture of her and her little kids. They were little at the time. She's like, I'm a recovering addict and bulimic and mom of three, and then and I was like, holy shit. I want to be able to do that. I just want to say
Yes.
all of the things that are going on with me and not not say them anymore. And I got sober pretty quickly after that. So there was the incentive because I wanted to be. And then once I started writing and it started really doing something to me and helping me, and it felt like I was finally. This sounds overstated or whatever, but it's true. I was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, like fully.
Yep.
And I then I was like, yeah, this has always been in me. But
Mm-hmm.
that's the long
That's
part to.
I would consider that a medium answer, medium.
Okay.
Maybe even relatively short.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, I could say more.
You quoted the Gospel of Thomas,
Mm-hmm.
and the line is, in short. I mean, I could pull it up real quick, but if you don't bring the bring the thing forth, I had a cold last week, and it's still chasing me down. So you quoted the Gospel of Thomas quote was something along the lines of, "If you don't bring forth what is in you, it will destroy you."
Yeah. If you bring forth what is within you, it will save you. And if you do not bring forth what is within you, it will destroy you.
That's part of what you're describing here.
For sure.
So in the context in which you wrote it has to do with the kind of personal and interpersonal integration that we tend to live. Boy, that's a general statement. I think I'll make it anyways. Is we tend to live disintegrated until we're incentivized not to.
Yeah.
In the religious tradition, we call it like false self, true self stories.
Yes.
The whole line. But there really is kind of a willful act at some point because it's a choice. Like, it doesn't just happen where suddenly, like, oh, I'm like everything that was in me, whether they're secrets or like dark secrets or light secrets, because we sometimes keep those light secrets, or sometimes we think they're dark secrets and they're actually beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's a willful choice. Like, I have to choose to actually draw it out. It doesn't just happen. Nothing does it for me.
No.
Part of why I'm asking you about the writing process is because we tend to like, there is a difference between writing and publishing.
Oh yeah.
And all along, you've been, what was the phrase you just used? But like you've been kind of you were collecting things the whole time. Like these things were all for you,
mm-hmm.
and you were capturing moments. You were writing stuff down, but you didn't want to publish them. And
I felt like I couldn't. I didn't know what to do with that. I couldn't be honest. I was like choked.
I love that.
Like, yeah.
I like that because that's part of what I want. It's part of why I'm interviewing you is both things. We want both things to be true, and I want both things to be true for clients and for friends. Is like, you should do the thing you're doing artistically, creatively, because you have to for you.
Yeah.
And we really screw ourselves by saying, like, now that I've finished it, I've got it. Like, my next step is to get it published. Mm-hmm. Like, that can ruin that process. So you had a long period of time in which, like, you were putting things down. You were kind of getting things out of you. Talk about like the transition point to just like the decision to make it public. Was there a conversation? Was there an impetus? Did you read something? There was the thing that you read that someone else said, like, I'm bulimic, I'm this, etc. But talk about that pivot point or that season and the process going from like, I'm writing because I need to see my insides and see what in front of me, which is the first part of it, to then like, I'm going to put my insides
out there
in front of other people, which is a completely different movement.
It is.
So talk about that transition for you. What was that like? Were there encouragements, hang-ups? Go.
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think about this a lot in a general sense because I get asked a lot, how did you have the courage to put yourself out there? And I have never, ever thought about it that way. I always have a terrible answer to that question because I get what people mean. I do get that it must take some courage to expose things that are shameful to you or hard to talk about. But okay, I think some of this is because of the cultural moment that I started writing, that
Right.
people were sharing more online. I had already sort of the blogging era of the early aughts and the like 2010 to 2015 had already happened, and I read all those women.
Yep.
I read Heather, Deuce, Heather Armstrong. I read all these women, and I was like, I was very drawn to that. And those were some of the things that I started or thought about starting. But I didn't have, like I heard Jason Isbell say, sobriety gave me a story to tell. And that was the true thing for me too. Like he wrote Southeastern after getting sober. And that's, it's,
Dude, that freaking, oh my gosh. His
right,
stuff,
right,
like, just so good. Lights out good.
right. Same. I mean, I feel the same. And that's what happened to me too. It was like, I guess, yes, I did choose. I chose to write, but there was no like, oh, maybe I'm not going to publish something. I was just doing that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've experienced that where you are just producing things and you're just doing things and you're kind of animated by forces that you can't even explain.
Yeah.
And it's persistent and if it feels exciting and it doesn't even really feel scary. There were scary moments or like, and it's not that I was not thinking. I was very conscious of all the things I was saying. I was
Yep.
very conscious to not include other people. Like I wasn't like a train wreck, just like blasting out there, but I wasn't going, I just never went, I don't know if I really want to do this. I just wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And at first I did it because it was just helping me. And if I'm really honest, it was really nice to get feedback
Yep.
that was like affirming that I was doing the thing that felt like I was supposed to be doing. It was like there is a resonance there that I think we we say you don't write for other people, but it's a transmission line. Like we are doing that. We are having a conversation. I can't imagine writing a book and never having anyone read it.
Yeah.
There, I guess, would be some value for me for sure. But a lot of the gift, and Stephen King says this, like that's what we're doing. We're transmitting this line to a reader, and we may get to hear from them, but we may not. But we generally in this like we have social media. I was getting comments. I was getting people writing me letters. And it also helped me in my recovery because it was like I was starting to form this new identity when that identity, that my old identity was so blown apart.
Yep.
I was not a drinker anymore. I mean, I was not married anymore. That happened around the same time. I was there were these really painful parts that of my identity that I was trying to outrun. There were also just unformed parts. Like, who am I now that I'm a person who doesn't drink? It's not just the drinking. It's like literally everything. And so it helped me shape this new identity. And
Yes.
that identity did feel and was for sure more of my true self. And so it's like this magnet that that just kept pulling me towards it. So the publishing piece was just part of that. I always wanted, like, really, I have this moment. I've had many of them, but I have two that I'll talk about. One was when I found that Gospel of St. Thomas quote, and I was at a retreat at Kripalu, it's a retreat center here in Western Massachusetts, and I was like 20 days sober, and it took me a long time to finally my story's all in my first book, but it took me a while I had many day ones and many starts and stops, and by the time I was like 20 some days sober at this retreat in 2014, I was really I was scared. I was in a lot of pain, and I had in that year prior put actually together a lot of days sober, way more than I ever had in my life, my adult life. And so I started to taste what it was like to be sober.
Mhm.
And I had been writing that whole time. I had been publishing on this blog. I had started to taste some of this, the feeling of what was possible. But I was just at the beginning when everything is so tender and raw and like precious and could fall apart at any moment. That's what it felt like. It felt like I could trip on a crack in the sidewalk and I'd be drinking again. And so every day just felt like I didn't know if I would actually make it.
Yeah.
So I went to this retreat with two friends, and it was Sean Korn was teaching it. She's this incredible yoga teacher and just like big energy. And it was this week-long yoga retreat about it was like chakras, which I don't know if you know anything about that, but it doesn't matter. She is a very powerful teacher, and so much of what she was talking about in that retreat was like being in alignment with yourself, like who you actually are, and the importance of healing your trauma and the importance of healing in general so that you don't continue to pass on the destruction of the past and repeat those same patterns. And when she walked into that room, and I was a yoga teacher by then and all of this, but I have to just set the stage a little. Like, I was working in advertising. I was like a vice president of marketing in an advertising agency. I was working this crazy job. I had been in that field for 15 years. I, was living in the suburbs, but commuting to Boston every day. I had a 4.5-year-old daughter. I was a single mom. Like, my life was like not what it is right now.
Yeah.
And I, when she came into the room and started teaching, my whole body that weekend was just lit up. And it was almost hard to contain, because I just felt I want to be doing what she's doing. I don't necessarily want to be a yoga teacher that's like I don't want to be a world-renowned yoga teacher, but I want to be on the other side of this. Like, I know that that's in me.
Yes.
I know that I can be guiding people. I know, like, what she was saying was like already inside me. Like, I have always been a student. I've always been a seeker. And so there was that moment, and I went at the end of the retreat, I went to the bookshop at Kripalu, and I went right to this book called The Great Work of Your Life by Stephen Cope. And I opened that book, and it's all about your dharma, like what is the great work of your life and the importance of finding that. And it sort of tracks the story of Arjuna and Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. So it said, though, I opened right to the page of that quote of the Gospel of St. Thomas, and it said, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. And if you do not bring forth what is within you,
Of course, that's what you opened the book to.
Of course it is.
Of course.
What you do not bring forth will destroy you. And I was like, holy shit. Well, that's it. And I went home and read the book. And that was 10 years ago. And I can still feel what that felt like in my body.
Yeah.
Reading that I was going to die from the drinking, for sure. It would have killed me. But I was really dying the spiritual death of not living into my potential myself. I was really dying.
Yeah.
And that would have been the more devastating death almost.
100%. Well, you read that early in the book. I put this down too. You talked about if something's keeping you from being fully present, that it is a matter of life and death. And we tend to see things maybe smaller than they are and not pay as much attention. And part of what you're doing with both books is to invite folks to pay far more attention to like patterns and choices.
Yeah.
Which I want to come back to that. All these notes are now a mess. But
that's all right.
Part of what you're describing when you talk about the yoga teacher and that book is you're talking about vision in a sense. Like you like having to have, the way you write it is there's a life that's calling you forward, begging you to meet its eye. You can only get so far by running away. Eventually, you will have to run toward what you do. You'll have to run toward a bigger yes. That there's part of the pivot point that you point out with regards to health, wholeness, whether we're talking about true self to false self movement. part of that willful journey is making the decision to move actually towards something, to have something like that's actually what I want, or that's who I want to be, which almost always is like either an attachment to or an attraction to like an external for a time. Like someone's doing a thing, and something in me says, like you said, oh shit, I want that. Like that's,
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it looks like, but
Yeah.
I want something like that.
There's the energy of that I want.
Moving towards vision, which goes to the question, like, well, kind of a question. One is the bridge that you described a minute ago between who you used to be and who you're becoming. You end up having to build. Like you end up having to build a bridge, which is why we write, which is why we create. I don't know what this is for. I just know that this is what I can do right now with what I have on hand.
Yeah, and this is just what I'm doing. It was so. That's why I say I don't know that it took courage. I mean, I guess it did, but I wasn't sitting there deliberating.
Yeah,
because also, I think when you've tasted that space of, you could call it dharma, purpose, meaning, alignment, when you get a taste of that, it overrides so much of the bullshit that we're trapped in.
yes,
it just does. And that's why, like, a lot of people, the second part of that, or the second example, this is much shorter, but I went to this event with Elizabeth Gilbert, and this was, I guess, a few months actually before the Sean Corn retreat. So I wasn't quite sober yet, and I was very hungover, and I had this, she was out on tour for The Signature of All Things, one of her novels, and I brought my daughter, who was like very young at the time, and we were sitting in this theater in Coolidge Corner in Boston. And I had that same feeling with Liz standing there, but it was like specific. It was like, oh, I want to be reading from my book, answering questions. Like my whole body was lit up. And I knew at that time, like, I can't have both things. I can't continue drinking and have this. I wanted there to be a way that would be true, but I knew it was very stark. It was like, no, you only get one of these.
Yep.
And I knew that publishing a book was part of that. Like, I knew that I wanted to go that way with it.
Yeah.
And that I don't know I don't know why I thought I could do that. Like, none of this ever makes sense, right? Like, none of it ever, my life didn't look like that.
No.
So when people
I think we can only be so conscious. Some of it might be like a responsibility thing. We can only be so conscious of like our whole selves for a while, and so we catch these like little glimmers.
Yes,
but I can't be responsible for that, because either like I'm still drinking, or I'm still a little bit of an idiot for other reasons, or like I'm not ready for who I'm becoming.
Yeah.
So sometimes, like,
and it's very
whether
scary.
it's spirit or my own soul will just kind of like, I'm going to give you a glimpse of this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let you make some plans, because you will absolutely ruin that. So I'm going to give you a glimmer, and then I'm going to give you a freaking puzzle to do, because this is all you're allowed to do right now, because you will.
Yeah. And you're going to get one breadcrumb, and then another breadcrumb, and then another breadcrumb, and you're going to see if you follow them.
It is very much, this is the worst analogy I think I've maybe ever used in a podcast. It's a very Danielson, Mr. Miyagi moment in which, like, he's like, you're going to paint that fence. He's like, what the hell is this for? What does this have to do with anything? And he's just doing stuff, and he's cleaning cars. And then later on, when he actually gets into the space, I swear to God, I'm making this analogy. I'm embarrassed. But
it's actually very good.
But it ends up being like, oh, that's what that's for. And there really are seasons in life in which, and there's the whole control narrative here that's a massive part of the sobriety journey, that like, you don't get to choose what it's for. You get to do what's in front of you, and that's it. And stop trying to control, and just submit yourself to a process that you don't know the end of. and
Yes.
turn off all the rest of the shit in your mind that's telling you to come up with just do what's in front of you.
It's so antithetical to human nature, though. Like, well, at least how we are socialized and live in our culture, because people are automatically go, but how?
Yes.
How? I want to know all the
And
steps
and why?
and why, and like, how will I know it's going to work? And it's like, you don't even know why you're doing it.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah. And so I don't know why I thought that I would make it as a writer. I don't know why I thought I would be. I just knew, I don't know. I just was like, you have to be a little delusional. You have to be able to just do it with, I don't want to say no attachment to outcome, but the plan that I had for what would happen was very different than what actually happened, and if I can look back on 10 years and go, oh, well, it happened right on time for me. If I would have got a book deal earlier, I would have not been able to hold it. Like you said, if I would have, you know, it it unfolded. But I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like it has so little to do with me personally,
What does
actually.
that mean?
Like, I don't know why this was like an assignment I got. I don't know. I don't know why. I do actually really deeply feel the concept of dharma is true, meaning it feels true to me in my body. Like, there's something that we are here to do, and it doesn't always have to do with work. I mean, that's what a lot of people get wrong too. It's like if, like you were saying, people write and then they're like, oh no, I have to get published, or I have to turn my passion, my thing that I love, into money in a way I mean, that's where a lot of people, get frustrated and I think get it wrong. But I think that we are here with an imprint. Each of us is here with an imprint of something in us that is like the most finely tuned string that we could be, where we are playing our role. We are resonant with the whole orchestra, right? When we're doing it, we're doing our job.
Yep.
And that's what I mean. It's like not a lot to do with me. I mean, yes, I have to bring it forward, and I have my choices, and I have all, I am living I have a personality and an ego and all those things, but I don't know. The longer I go, the more I'm like, I don't know why I got this thing.
Well, that's the detachment piece. Is like I can make plans, I can have some hopes, and I can have some intentions, but I'm not. It's a form of addiction. But I'm not going to attach myself to a particular destiny or outcome, because it'll keep me from doing the thing I learned to do when I was lost last time, which is like, just do the thing in front of you.
Yeah.
You keep making plans, or keep thinking, you're making plans and believing like, here's the math, and if I do this math, this is going to come out, and I'm going to add up, and it's going to be 42. Or so that it's either that, like, forward projection math, or it's the weird backwards math of like, there's this thing I think for sure is going to happen, and I'm trying to avoid it. So any sort of like concrete attachment to like, this is what's happening in the future, really messes with what's, I think, more deeply true, which is like my process. All I can do is actually be in my process.
Yes.
But if I do the math and think, if I do this and this, then it adds up to 42 every time. Or like, there's a destiny out there that's coming for me, and I'm trying to avoid it with all, like, neither one of those things, whether they're true or not, we could argue that all day long, but none of that matters. What that does is actually screws with my day, which is the one thing I've got, is like,
and your life. Yeah. I mean, you get, and it all becomes, it's like you're all of a sudden playing this game that is not, you're playing the wrong game.
I want to get into this because you talked about, well, side note to the thing I'm going to ask. Have you read the Phil Stutz book, True and False Magic?
I haven't. Should I?
Well, should's a big word right now.
Well, do you think I would like it?
I think you would love it. And I'm a huge fan of it. He strikes me as someone you would really resonate with.
I watched his thing.
Tone. I haven't seen, I've never seen anything of him on video or anything, but
okay.
But part of what he gets to in the book, and in general with his work, is that really that having a sense of meaning and purpose is essential, and that we tend to think of it as a secondary thing.
Mm-hmm. It's like that, yeah, it's an outcome of something.
It's an outcome of something or something that I get to deal with meaningful things when I'm done with responsibility.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so you said you talked about work a moment ago, and part of what you meant by work was like, well, you're talking about like meaning and doing meaningful things, and folks who tend to conflate that with it being, it has to be about work.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm hearing you do is like, work becoming attached to like dollars and cents. Like,
Yeah.
if I do this, then it has to be attached to dollars and cents. I'd love to hear you talk about like you started this journey, you start writing, you see this thing, you want to be helpful to other people. Now it's a thing that is attached to money for you.
Mm-hmm.
Does that change how you feel about your own personal process? Like, how does that affect the way it affects your personal process?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do you, does it change the way you approach your own sobriety? Does it change the way you approach
Mm-hmm.
creativity? That there are dollar signs attached to your personal process. So what used to be strictly personal, when it was like not how you made money,
Yeah.
now has like a little bit more of a corollary to being able to buy.
Sure.
How's the dollars and cents attachment to, or association with your personal work change your personal work? Does it?
God, this is another area where I feel like I have bad answers or just answers that aren't very fulfilling to other people. And I want to be as honest as possible in this. So I quit my job in my career in advertising in 2016. I got sober in 2014. I started writing, started publishing, got a few articles published, never for any money, started teaching yoga again, and did a podcast that was very successful. And this was way before there were so many podcasts. So like it was kind of, it felt very unique at the time, right? Um, and by 2016, I had enough sort of confidence in myself and in my work that I could make a run at supporting myself somehow.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was going to come from writing books because I know the math on writing books. I knew that that's a long, long game, right? But I'm very entrepreneurial. I have a high threshold for like risk. I also am privileged. Meaning I have a family who they aren't super wealthy by any means, but they would not allow me to be homeless, right? I have a graduate degree. I have a lot of good connections. I knew everything about sort of digital marketing in the digital world. So I know how to do social media. I know how to do websites. And I'm mentioning all these things because when I say, oh, I just like went off on my own and I did it and I had no fear, and so that didn't change my relationship to like my art and the relationship to how and to money. It didn't change that.
Yeah.
It sounds like bullshit, but there's a lot of factors. There's a lot of factors that just gave me confidence. And also, I'm not a worrier. I don't know why. I'm just not made that way. Like, I don't worry about things I should worry about. I'm an Enneagram 7. I'm like,
worry about things I should worry about.
I really don't. Like, I was born from this Italian Catholic mother who worries about literally everything. She will ask me questions like, what about this? Or how is this going? I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even have that thought in my head until you put it in my head. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to get a cold next week. Like, I know it's coming, but I'm fine, So I don't know how I got that, but I'm saying all these things because for whatever reason, had enough confidence in myself and trust, because also I was sober, and I knew, like, if I'm sober, I had been through hell.
Yeah.
Absolute hell. And I trusted myself for the first time. And I knew as long as I'm sober, like, I know what is up. I'm not creating new destruction. Worst comes to worst, I will fucking wait tables again. I don't care.
Yep.
And I knew I could resource myself. And so what I started doing when I quit my job was I started teaching workshop. First of all, I got a loan from a friend who had watched me work my ass off while I was doing my other career. And she's an entrepreneur. She's like, I will give you what you need to live for a year because I have no money. I was like, yes. So I was psychotic enough to say yes to that because I would now owe my friend
Totally.
a good amount of money.
It's how Van Gogh did it. Van Gogh's brother paid for his life for like 3 years.
No way.
100%. Theo, I think it's Theo. Van Gogh's brother Theo paid for Van Gogh's like entire
So
life
that he could,
career so that he could paint, because he was like, listen, you need to do what's in you,
what you're doing.
like the thing that's in you. I mean, talk about someone for whom it was desperately true. Like, if you don't bring out what's in you, it's going to kill you.
Yes.
But Theo actually paid for Van Gogh's life so that he could make art. I hate, this is a total side note, I hate the way we would disparage those arrangements. In the,
I don't talk about it very much because of
someone like actually like patronizes, like, I'm going to be your patron. I'm going to take care of you so that you can do your work. It drives me nuts that we think that that's somehow like a really shitty power dynamic. I'm like, no, that's like a sharing of gifts.
Yeah.
So that's great.
And I knew that that's how it was coming from her. I knew the energy of how that was coming because she had been given the same opportunities to start her businesses. And she had just sold her business. And she was like, look, and it wasn't just because I never went and asked her. She had watched me as another mother and another like creative person, an entrepreneur. She's like, I have seen you bust your ass for like 4 years. Like, what is going on? What's the plan here? And I was like, I don't know. I'm just continuing to go. I don't have any money yet. She's like, what do you need? I'm like, money. Literally, I have $100,000 in debt. She's like, go to the bank and get a loan. I was like, nobody's going to give me a loan. So she's like, okay, I'm going to give it to you. And I will never forget that moment ever. I was in Maine. It was March. I cried. And I was like, I knew that was where everything was changing. Yeah. So this is all part of the question you're asking, which is like, how does money change your relationship to your creativity and all that? So I had money to live on. It wasn't a crazy amount of money, but it gave me enough of a buffer that I wasn't freaking out. Yes. And I, in that year, sort of figured out how I could make money so that I could write. And the ways that I figured that out was I started creating my own online classes and teaching them. I started teaching yoga workshops. I started, I wrote like a little ebook that I sold. I started figuring out how to make money on my own. Yep. First year, I didn't make a lot. Second year, I did better. Yeah. And I learned that I'm a really good teacher and I'm really good at putting together curriculum. And I had I started to get a really good email list and a following. So I started to build all these pieces of a career in 2000. So that was 2016, 17, 18. I got an agent. I sold my first book for like nothing. So the money piece of my first book wasn't real. Like it was literally nothing. And I'm so glad that it was nothing. Yeah. I had a $20,000 advance, which if you like, that's paid in quarters over 2 years for people who don't understand publishing. So it's like, I'm grateful for it, but it was barely any money.
Yes. Doesn't pay for your life.
It doesn't pay for really much of anything, right? But I had built other streams of income. So the truth is, I didn't start making a living off of my writing until 2022. Yeah. And I got a good advance for my second and third book. And by that time I had many other streams of income that I purposefully diversified things. So the answer to your question though is, how has it changed? This is how I now know like that there is a change. I got a great advance for this second and third book. Mm-hmm. Like money I could actually live on. And what that has done to me mentally at times, and I have to fight through this, is who the fuck is paying me to write a book? This is crazy. Yes. They are crazy. Do they know? Yeah. That I don't know what I'm doing, like at all. Yes. And I have to battle with
that is that imposter syndrome that makes its way into everybody's life in some way, shape, or form. Like it never doesn't show up. It shows up every time.
And so I talked, what do you do? I talked to other authors. Everybody feels the same way.
Everybody feels the same way.
even people who have published 10 books, they still feel like when they go to write the next one that they're just a like they're fooling everyone. They really don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. Huh?
And so I don't know. Um if I had to make money only on my writing, I think I know it would be way too much pressure, but I don't, I make my money still, most of my money elsewhere.
Yeah.
I have a business that I started. I have in recovery. I have classes that I still teach. I teach retreats. So I guess not even intentionally, but sort of intentionally, don't make my writing the thing that supports me, and I think that's helped me.
Developing a relationship with specifically as someone who is working in the creative space, developing an actual relationship with money and learning myself in relationship with money is so incredibly vital.
Yeah.
We don't get
Relationship with money.
we don't really get trained on that in like
Mm-mm.
in general in life, but specifically as artists or creative people. I'm blanking on the name of the book. Lewis Hyde's book, I think it's called The Gift. And he talks
Yeah.
about the various economies we're always functioning in.
Yeah.
The gift economy, and then there's the market economy. And his thing is like you never get to just be in one. You're always in one or the other.
Yeah.
And like the weird mythology around the arts is like find your passion and then like chase that thing at all expenses, which like maybe there's something to that for sure. But he's like, yeah, but you don't get to just jump into like the gift economy and just create something and then everyone likes it and then pays you. Like
No.
you either have to like write songs that you don't like that much because they do better, or you're gonna have to wait tables, or someone's gonna have to pay for your life. But developing that relationship with my dollars and cents, part of what it does, just like having a location, is it actually draws the stuff out of me, because all of the stuff about like that's wrong with dollars and cents and money, like that's all about like fear and power and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So diversifying like where your income comes from, part of why I'm asking your story is like that's a far more common, realistic, healthy approach to like making a career as an
Yeah.
artist, or making a career like doing what I want to do. Is it can be really,
Yes.
really garbage to say this is all I want to do, and if I don't make all my money doing the thing I want to do, then I will have failed. That's such an absolute
I
crap.
literally know nobody.
Nobody.
And I know a lot at this point. I know a lot of authors. Let me make sure this is true. I know only one that is at the point in her career where she does just make a living off of her books. But you know what else? That even like I also think that so many people love the idea of doing something more than they love the reality of doing it. So people will come to me and say, "I want to be a writer. Where do I start?" And I'm like, "You just start writing.
Yeah.
Anywhere, right? Like just start doing it, because you don't know that you want to be a writer yet
Yes.
until you're doing it, and you're doing it for years and no one's listening, and sometimes people listen, and you write shit pieces. Like, how did I learn to be a writer? How did I know that? Because I did it for about 6 years, almost weekly, and I wrote hundreds of thousands of shit words, and I still wanted to do it.
Yep.
You don't get to know until you've done it for a really long time.
No,
It doesn't even have to be a really long time. It can be
piece.
long. Yeah, exactly. You have to really love the process. Like, you have to love the hell of being alone with your thoughts and a big project in your brain for years.
Yeah.
That's not for everybody. It
No,
it's
it's not.
fucking terrible a lot of the time.
It is definitely terrifying. I want to ask you a little bit about the book, because the two books I'm referencing, the two books of yours that I've read. The second one is called Push Off From Here, which is a great title.
Thanks.
And you do a thing in the front of the book that is on the riskier side, which is like you level a kind of a light critique of AA,
Mhm.
which among among my tribe of persons is a little bit of the sacred cow. Alcoholics Anonymous is a little bit of a sacred cow. Just like, and there's something good about that because folks outside of the sobriety world probably should shut their mouths about anything happening within the sobriety world.
100%.
That,
you don't get to critique it unless you lived in it.
Exactly. But you said, push off from here is not a rebuttal of AA doctrines, but an actionable framework that integrates its best teachings alongside insight I've gained from science. And so I'd love for you to talk a little bit about this, because part of what happens when folks come, part of what happens when people approach the conversation about sobriety, look at the book about sobriety, like, oh, so she's written these books about sobriety. I know what that is. I know where the conversation is. I know where it's going. She's going to tell me to go go to meetings, and she's not going to say not to go to meetings. No one's not saying that, but you're kind of broadening the conversation here a little bit. Are you comfortable sharing, like, talk about your experience with AA, and I could read all these pages, but like, if you don't mind, like, giving me kind of a quick summary of where AA is helpful, and where maybe there are some like cultural edges or cultural kind of missings here that you want to try to expand on and fill the blanks in on.
Sure. And do you want me to talk about this from like the sense of someone in sobriety? Like, from what angle am I coming?
Yeah. So in other words, if someone is looking, someone's going to listen to this podcast and like, yeah, this is the thing this is the thing I need to draw out of me. Like, I like drink every day and I don't talk to anyone about it. Like, this is how I come to the end of the week, and I cannot wait to like self-medicate so I don't have to think about my life. And like, well, if that person
that's available
something about like, as they approach AA, if you're the one picking them up, like you're the Lyft driver, and you pick them up. This is part of how you feel.
I'm like, and you're like, what do I do?
You're dropping them off at the AA meeting, and you've got like a 3-minute drive, a 4-minute drive, and you're dropping them off, and you want to tell them something helpful on the way in. What are you telling them?
Oh boy, great frame. Okay, I will. I'll try to do this as cleanly as possible. I say in We Are the Luckiest, in my first book, I once heard a famous psychologist say that when people come to him and they're depressed, like clinically depressed, I will always tell them about antidepressants and give them that option, because that might save their life and it might get them on the road to feeling better. And I feel that way about AA. I will never say, don't do it, ever. I would never say that. Because for some people, many people, it is it. It is their entryway, and it is their lifelong path, and it is the answer. Yeah. For other people, like me, it's a piece of the answer. I got sober in AA. It was the first people that I found. It was because of its ubiquity and culture, which I'm very grateful for.
Yep.
I had a place to go, and it wasn't hard. I looked up a meeting directory, walked into a meeting, because that's what the only other, like, I knew 2 sober people. They both said go to a meeting, and I was like, fuck, okay. Can I cuss? Because I'm cussing a lot.
You're fine.
Okay.
I cuss first.
Okay. And I went, and I can't say I loved it, but it gave me a little bit of relief, and it gave me a place to put my body.
Yeah.
And and a little bit of, counteraction to what I had been doing. And that felt important. And then I met people. I started to meet people. So it was the first people I met. It was the first friends I made. In AA, I never totally bought in. And what I mean by that is there was something about it that made me roll my eyes, in the sense that I was like, like, yeah, meetings are my medicine. And I would hear people who were in there for 25 years and they didn't seem very happy, but they were there, they were sober. And I would hear people say like they would the things that were tough for me is they would ascribe all these things that I saw as just human characteristics, human experiences to their alcoholism, like over prescribing alcoholism and pathologizing themselves with their alcoholism. And I just couldn't do it. I never, like I said for a while, like, I'm Laura, an alcoholic, because that's what you do.
Yeah.
But it never felt right coming out of my mouth. I couldn't explain why. It's like what I was saying when I went to that retreat with Sean Corn. I couldn't explain why. It just wasn't working in my body. But I went with it because it was getting me sober, and I started to enjoy a lot of the things that are really wonderful about it. In addition to seeing people that were kind of miserable, I also saw people that were extraordinary and met people that, like, there's a saying, I want what they had. They seem to be at peace.
Yeah.
They seem to have great lives. There were some women in there who were mothers like me and didn't seem to feel shame about anything that had happened when they were mothers, which was like the big cross I was carrying. There's nothing worse than being a mom who drinks. And I saw people who were free. And so, and just, it taught me the discipline of, you go to a meeting more or less every day, you pick a few that work, you get a job, you start to get to know people, they start to rely on you, you start to use your voice, you start to tell the truth. All those things sort of built my first muscles that are still my sobriety muscles.
Yes.
They built the patterns that still are the foundation of my sobriety. Mm-hmm. And I had no problem with the God thing. I have my own, spirituality. I never had a problem with that. But some people do, and that is a huge stop for them. So the things that I think are beautiful, I think the 12 steps themselves are beautiful.
Yes.
I think that there is nothing more healing than going into a place where people are telling the truth.
Yes.
And it is alchemical. It is life-changing. It's how we get rid of shame. It's how we rewrite our narrative. And when we rewrite our narrative, it changes our psychology. It literally changes our identity. When we get a more expansive view of who we are, because I went in there thinking, and everyone goes in there thinking, I'm just a giant piece of shit. I'm a liar. I'm a cheater. I have hurt everyone I love. I can't be trusted. And I'm a terrible mom. The list goes on. And you slowly start to realize, like, oh, I'm just someone, there's a bigger story.
Yes.
And that bigger story allows for more compassion. It allows for less shame. It allows for connection. And that's how your life changes. I mean, that will change your life. And so when we change our story and our identity changes, we change who we are in the world and how we're relating to it.
Yes.
That's the work of therapy. That's the work of any mutual support group, really. That's the magic that's happening there. So if it happens in AA, great. With that, though, comes the trappings of AA and the sort of dogmatic pieces that can be there. I did have a challenge with the sort of black and white thinking of, you're either an alcoholic or you're a normie, you're everyone else. Because in that I'm an alcoholic thing, there was this not spoken, but this sort of energetic feeling of otherness, brokenness, call it the island of misfit toys. And I knew and I felt like what we're experiencing in here, yeah, we drink different than other people for sure. But everyone I knew was lying in their lives. Everyone I knew was numbing out. Everyone I knew was in some way like, I knew I wasn't that different than the people who, my friends and my family and other people I encountered at work who maybe weren't drinking themselves to death, but they were all doing the same shit I was.
Yes.
And so it wasn't because I'm an alcoholic. It's like I'm a human who was doing what I learned to do and what worked best for me to survive,
Yeah.
to feel okay in the world. And now I've got this thing where I'm supposed to go, and no one, well, on the outside wanted to talk about it. It was very like, okay, you go and deal with that on your own. And like, drinking is this very protected culture and this very protected like thing, the ritual that we do, and it's everywhere. And so you should drink and you should do that and you should, go big unless you do it wrong. And now you belong in that group.
Yeah.
And now you just need to go deal with it. Like, and you have to put a label on yourself and so
Yeah.
I felt like the anonymity of AA, even though it wasn't intended for this reason, kept a lot of the shame embedded in these people.
Yep.
And I felt like it was very patriarchal. Like my friend Holly Whitaker really talks about this in her book, Quit Like a Woman, but she identified that a lot, like especially women, it was created by two men.
Yep.
Who were like, you know, in the 40s, and they were sort of classic. I don't want to say classic men, but and I don't mean that in a bad sense, but they were masculine men who like had big egos and needed to be knocked down, and they thought everything was everyone else's fault,
Probably Patriots fans.
Probably Patriots fans. And women don't generally speaking, this is not all women, but women don't generally speaking come in with this massive ego thinking that everything is everyone else's fault. Women pretty much like are here to serve, they have taken the responsibility of everything on themselves. At least for me, I was like, I've never blamed things on other people. I feel like everything's my fault. That's all I've ever been told. And so there's this, in AA, it's like you take responsibility for your part. You keep your side of the street clean. You humble yourself. Humble yourself. Women don't generally need more humility.
No.
Like they don't. And so while some of that can be helpful, it misses the mark with certain groups of people, and it actually, I think, creates more harm with certain groups of people, because that's just not what I needed. It helps me stop drinking and create the habits to stop drinking and to understand what it meant to be a part of a group of people and all of those things that I explained. It did not help me by saying, like, sometimes, here's a concrete example.
Yeah.
In AA, they say anger is a luxury. And it's like, no, I actually need to be angry. I actually need to be angry as a woman. It's not a character defect. I need to be responsible for how I use that anger, but I need to be angry. And I also, like, my side of the street, there is a such thing as the other people's side of the street.
Yeah.
And I need to be able to acknowledge that.
That's good.
And so there's just, I think, it's a product of when it was created too. It's just, there's some limitations there.
Yeah.
And it only could take me so far. And I also, a lot of it was around the binary thinking, sort of the, you're either this or that.
Yes.
You're either an alcoholic or you're a normie. And the reality is substance use disorder is a huge spectrum, huge spectrum. And some people don't belong in an AA meeting. They don't fit that, but they still could benefit from not checking out.
Yep. That's really helpful. Part of you said a thing earlier that I really, really resonate. I resonate with a lot of it, but the line was, you talked about struggling with really like an over-identification, or like a, I guess it's over-identification, or maybe even just like a deep identification with, I'm an alcoholic. Mm-hmm. That there are behaviors and patterns, and maybe even some of the drinking that's like, well, this is about your alcoholism. And part of what you're saying is like, well, that's a way to talk. You can say that. Right. And that might be helpful for a while. But a broader truth is like, this is not because you're an alcoholic, it's because you're human.
Mm-hmm. You probably have some trauma.
Yeah. So a buddy of mine and I just released a book earlier this year about depression, and part of our hopeful reframing of people's experience of depression is the catchphrase is like, we don't spend time. It's called In the Low. We don't spend time in the low because we're broken. We spend time in the low because we're human. And the getting acquainted with those like darker feelings or even those destructive behaviors is not just like a matter of like, I need to find these things, hunt them down and kill them so that I can no longer be that. It's like, no, this is actually an aspect of who I am.
Yeah.
And I need to familiarize myself with these things because it's never leaving. I'm not gonna eliminate this aspect of who I am. I need to be familiar with who I am. And part of what you're getting at, there's one of the poems in the book. I'm gonna read you two. I think you might resonate with is because the valley. So this is one way to talk about it. Because the valley is in me, that must mean there is more to me than the valley, and more to me than what I can see when I'm in it. Grant me the courage to believe that the valley is a smaller part of my larger life. That, like, no one's going to say that we don't say, like, you don't get lost in your drinking. Don't say that you don't get lost in your depression. Don't, like, of course, like, you do. But if I make that the monster by saying, like, that's who I am, like, I am an alcoholic or I am depressed, and over-identify with that, part of what I miss and part of what I'm getting, and I really, really like your second book for this reason, is the other book. This is where I'm blanking on the title.
We Are the Luckiest. Push Off From Here.
Push Off From Here.
Yeah.
It's kind of broadening, like, the context in which healing, health, sobriety, wellness take place is massive. Our playing fields are tiny. Mm-hmm. And remembering that these are all aspects of, like, my whole humanity, and that even if you don't finish, like, even if you don't get all the way out, because you probably won't.
Yeah.
Like, that's part of you being whole.
Yes.
So you didn't fail at life. If you have, as you come back to multiple times, you have another day one.
Right.
You're 67 years old. You got sober at 27. You're 67. Shit happens.
Yeah.
Like, bad stuff happens in life, and you find yourself 20 days into a binge again.
Yeah. Yeah.
What if we didn't call that failure?
Right.
Like, because
what if that was actually very normal?
If I over-identify with a line between I'm this or I'm that, and then I cross that line, now I've, like, betrayed myself and my own identity. Man, don't you set yourself up for that?
And in AA, you start your clock over again. It's like,
yes, go back to day one.
Yeah.
I thank you for this. Thanks for your time.
Oh my God, you're welcome. This has been great.
This is I want to wrap with this. Because this is the poem that I came back to reading both of your pieces that I read, and I really loved. I mean, it's not like I haven't heard it before. Like, you kind of do a day one, but you pin it really early. Like, you kept coming back to this thing, coming back to day one. The poem goes, "I'm here again. This is taking so long. I want to be farther along, and I want to be better. But may the slowness of this work in me be a sign that it will last. Reassure me that I'm not just getting better, I'm becoming whole." That's a sense I get from the work that you're doing, is an invitation not to, like, fix things, get better, like the sales pitch of, like, if you take this pill, you will. Like, there's very little of that, if any of that at all, in what you're up to. It's very, like, this is an invitation into a very long process of being, like, more as a person.
More whole. Absolutely. 100%.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. Thank you for reading my work that closely. And I do feel that way. And I will tell you, the longer I'm 11 years sober now, and it only becomes more so the case.
Yes.
And, like, that's not bad news. It's actually the best news.
It is great.
Yeah.
Good.